One more, one more. 1, 2, 3. Cheese.
All righty. And so we're going to have the next level Cosmo Camp kids to come up. So one of the things that those that you that don't come to council often, Mayor Pro Tem has been very uh, vital in making this happen. That we want to bring young people down to city government and see how city hall actually operates. And so over the different months and years, we have had high schoolers come, and I think we're getting younger and younger. But it's very important to us that we raise up a new generation, which is our young people. And so today, you see a lot of young people here today just hear about civic engagement. So don't be alarmed; it's all good. And so we're trying to educate them. And so we have. Are they going to start on this?
Yeah,
'Cause-
we'll do the.
Okay. Well, while I'm reading this, if they can go ahead and start on that so we can operate efficiently.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna move these forward then.
Okay.
Okay. I want to show y'all what Zach did. The ladies who are supposed to be helping unveil this, would you step forward? Zach,
So-
you step in the middle.
During the process, they have created a photo here, and they're going to reveal those as I'm reading this certificate of recognition. Fort Worth Certificate of Recognition, Office of the Council of District Number 8. The Office of City Council District is proud to recognize next level Cosmo Camp for kids in dedication to teaching Cosmo, makeup, skincare, nail hygiene, mental health, youth empowerment, safety, and life skills with a focus on entrepreneurship and cosmetology. The Next Level Cosmetology Camp began a summer camp on the east side of Fort Worth, Texas on June 13, 2022 with 30 girls. The students of the world finally put together a hair show showcasing their skills in cosmetology and business before their parents, peers, and community. These students took on roles as models, makeup artists, hairstylists, and ticket promoters. Five girls also are now pursuing in fashion, the cosmetology, and many more will follow. Over the span of 2 years, the Next Level Cosmo Camp for Kids has hosted a fall camp, a summer camp, and even introduced a life-changing program at 12 Fort Worth ISD schools. This is one of the campers that participated in District 8 as well as in Michael Crane's district and planning to participate in District 6. Under the leadership of Shakina Watkins, CC the Great, is the only short of 2 years. Next Level Cosmo Camp Kids has impacted the lives of 450 kids. I commend CC. And this certificate is presented to the Next Level Cosmo Camp for Kids in recognition of their commitment and success for our Fort Worth youth on this 25th day of June 2024.
Okay, I'll try to make it quick because I know y'all got a lot to do. Um, Council members, Councilman Nettles, I'm about to cry. I appreciate all of y'all. Every single person up there just about has helped Next Level Cosmetology Camp for Kids in some way. And Councilman Nettles, you have put your locks on the line for us, life on the line for us. We are now in 12 schools in Fort Worth ISD and counting. Thanks to Councilmember Jared Williams, we will be in the Fort Worth Public Libraries now. There is no program out here like it. We build bosses over here. We don't just teach cosmetology. We teach financial literacy, mental health, self-awareness. We teach a real. We got beauty. We got brains. We know business. Next Level Cosmo Camp. We got and we stand up. Period.
All right, we're going to take a photo. And then the other Jared, Beck, anybody that participated, you welcome all to come.
We'll move the pictures back. pictures. Did it in less than 2 weeks. Zach, take a bow. We got you.
I don't think Council y'all is here. Yeah, Alan, Jeanette, I don't know if y'all saw it, Macy.
We can move it. You want to get a picture with it?
Is he gonna come?
Yeah, that's fine.
Mayor Parker, just a moment of privilege. I'm trying to locate them right now. I've been told that the Diamond Hill Summer Camp folks are here. There they are, right back there. Raul, good to see you. So just want to give a shout out to them. Thank you for being here.
Mayor, I'd also like to take a quick point of privilege to recognize the Como Community Center Summer Camp. Where are y'all? Please stand up. Thank y'all so much for joining us, and so excited that y'all are having a blast at summer camp, and hope to see y'all at the community center sometime soon.
My remarks were more than the desire to get my hair braided. What I want people to think about is when you see children engage with goal setting, making money, which means working, I submit to you, years in the future, we will see a decline in juvenile crime rates. And so just the idea of having a goal presented that they embrace, they create, I'm encouraged to see this. Those are my remarks.
Next will be items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda.
Thank you. We have one item to withdraw from the consent agenda. That's M&C 24-0548.
Any items to be continued or withdrawn by staff?
There are no items to be continued or withdrawn by staff.
Mayor, that gets us to the consent agenda speakers, and I believe we have 8 of them.
Thank you very much, Jeanette. Our first speaker is Lee Haynes, followed by Sharon Swaggerty. Oh, sorry, it's Lee Haynes Taylor. My apologies, Miss Taylor.
I went by Haynes for a long time.
And Mayor, I believe she has
You have a group, is that
representative.
correct? If you're here with Miss Taylor, could you just raise your hand for me? Thank y'all very much for being here. Miss Taylor, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate your having me.
I think the mic's not on, if we could fix that. Just a second, Miss Taylor.
Okay. I can. Have to bring it way down. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Can y'all all see me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Lee Haynes Taylor. I'm the current president of Texas Garden Clubs, whose headquarters building is located at 3111 Old Garden Road on the breathtaking campus of the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens. And I have a prepared statement. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you today as a representative of 8,000 plus members of Texas Garden Clubs. The Botanic Gardens and the Texas Garden Club's headquarters are the oldest park and headquarters in America. Texas Garden Clubs was formed in 1929 and the headquarters was constructed in 1959 on acreage donated by the city of Fort Worth. We have enjoyed 65 years of existence in the Botanic Gardens, working closely with the Park and Recreation Department all these years, and we hope to continue uninterrupted for many more years to come. The Fort Worth City Attorney is present at this meeting to request members of the Fort Worth City Council to allow permission to file suit against Texas Garden Clubs to force taking our headquarters and land. Texas Garden Clubs is a nonprofit organization of 8,000 plus members. We do not want our property taken away from us. The governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, also agrees with our sentiments. Texas Garden Clubs is an asset to the state of Texas, the city of Fort Worth, and its citizens. Our mission statement, Texas Garden Clubs promotes the love of gardening, floral design, horticulture, civic responsibilities, landscaping, environmental concerns, and garden therapy for men, women, and children, and encourages participation and support of educational programs for both the very young and the most advanced students. It is the purpose of the organization to preserve, protect, and conserve the natural resources of this country and to maintain and enhance the beauty of our land. The city of Fort Worth has, as our strong ally, helped us to secure our headquarters. The city of Fort Worth gave us a deed and land in the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens from the White Survey, donated to the city in prior years. In 1959, when Texas Garden Clubs wanted to receive a loan from the Continental Bank, the bank required a survey and a cleared clubs to get a loan using the land in its headquarters building as collateral. The city of Fort Worth helped us to get our headquarters. In the past, the city created the document saying the park board could sign, and I have passed out packets for each of you that have a lot of information pertaining to headquarters. There's minutes of the Parks Board Commissioners dated May 15th, 1958, August 20, 1958, September 19th, 1958, August 26, 1959, which referenced the building site for our headquarters. Also included is information about our headquarters that should be of interest to you in relating to headquarters as to why our legacy is so important to the members of Texas Garden Clubs. We hope the City of Fort Worth council members do vote no, that Texas Garden Clubs can keep the headquarters and gardens located at 3111 Old Garden Road for its members. Our headquarters is both a tribute to those who have gone before us and a version of what we want to bequeath to all those who follow us. We want this relationship to continue as in the past as our legacy. Again, thank you for your consideration and your time.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Ms. Swaggerty.
Thank you for offering me the time to speak this morning. I just have a few questions, I guess. This ongoing dispute with the city has been going on for almost 10 years with the Garden Club Council. I've been to the Fort Worth Botanic Gardens on many occasions, and there is a definite parking issue there. And I'm just wondering if this lawsuit is going to address and resolve the parking issue that is ongoing. I have been there when we had Butterfly in the conservatory, when we've had Flowercade from the garden show, and I've ridden the bus because we had to park way over in parking lot D, and there were several people on the bus that they wouldn't come back because they couldn't park closer to the actual building because it's a timed entry. So I'm hopeful that you guys can resolve this to both sides, and we can once again have the people that come to the gardens be able to park closer. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Swaggerty. Council, before we continue, these are the last of our speakers on this item that's pertaining to the Texas Garden Clubs. I was going to ask our Assistant City Manager, Jess McEachern, to give a few comments of clarification on this item.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. We certainly agree that Texas Garden Club has a tremendous legacy here, both for the state and for the city of Fort Worth. So filing of this lawsuit does not preclude us from being able to resolve this in a manner notwithstanding, and we will continue our efforts to do that.
Thank you, Jess. I appreciate that. And Ms. Taylor, I know that I cold called you one day and had a short conversation with you at home, and that is our intention, to absolutely continue to work with you and your members, not only to protect your legacy there in the Botanic Gardens, but also enhance your experience and be an integral part of the future we have in the Botanic Gardens. So we'll stay in very close contact, and you're in good hands with Jess and her team. That is our intention. So thank you all for being here today. We really do appreciate you. Our next speaker is Gerald Banks Sr., followed by Lisa DeBrito.
Gerald Banks Sr., District 5. I proclaim the need to clean up the police department, sheriff's department, city hall, and the city of Fort Worth completely from corruption. Clean the parking lots. From the bottom of the dirty bottom to the top of the buildings that actually it's because it's been a lot of blood spilled on these parking lots and in some of these buildings. I'm undecided on how much it would cost, but it is very much needed. My last few minutes will be dedicated to the victims. No justice, no peace.
Mr. Banks, I want to be respectful of your demonstration. Are those the conclusion of your remarks?
No, it's not.
Okay. If you want to continue speaking, that's fine. Otherwise, I need to move to the next speaker.
I have a minute and 12, 11.
We'd love to hear
10.
your remarks.
I'm
Yes, sir.
continuing to speak.
Okay.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 minute left. 59, 58, 57, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40 seconds left. This demonstration is for the blood that's been spilled on these parking lots that need to be cleaned up. Inside these buildings, and you know what buildings. 27, 26, 25, I'm continuing to speak for the victims that has lost their lives. 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, and if you continue to count, you'll see it's 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. I appreciate you listening.
Our next speaker is Lisa DeBrito. Lisa will be followed by Adrian Smith.
So I'm speaking against agenda item 24-0593. To summarize it, it is a $3,000 appropriation to go to selective, keyword there, people, devils are in the details, traffic enforcement program operation slowdown grant. Now I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I'm against this proposal. The first reason is our crime statistics, specifically the east side. But just for demonstration purposes, before I continue with this, I want to show you something. Understand, this is demonstration only. And I'm addressing the audience now. Why?
Ms. DeBrito, you can't address the audience. I apologize. You have to address the council.
That was a demonstration. And the reason it was a demonstration is that is what your East Siders feel like. That's what District 5 feels like. When I call the police, it takes up to 2 hours to get a response for dangerous crimes. And let's talk about this, because this is one of the reasons I oppose just a small amount of the money that's going for boondoggles, as far as I'm concerned. Odds of being a victim of violent crime, especially on the east side, 1 in 201 people. That is the FBI statistics. I'm quoting directly from that. Assault in Fort Worth, 356.8. National average, 282.7. Murder, 10.5. National average, 6.1. Rape, 62.3. National average, 40.7. Every 18 minutes in this city, especially on the east side, every 18 minutes there is a violent crime. And you want to put more money into traffic? Are you kidding me? Now let me go to the next reason I'm here. The gentleman that just spoke is right. Number 1, David Colley. Number 2, a Tatiana Jefferson. And now, number 3, Carolina Rodriguez. This city has blood on its hands. I stood before the mayor sitting behind me now, the former mayor, and asked her to appoint an independent citizen-led committee to investigate what happened with the Tatiana Jefferson, whose blood was not spilled on these streets. It was spilled in her own home in front of her 7-year-old nephew. I have a report here from the DOJ, which Fed Up Fort Worth paid $3,000 in FOIA fees for, that lists officers who have had disciplinary action. I really would like to do a deep dive into how many of those officers are still on the force. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Adrian Smith, followed by Mike C.
%, get back to us. The city needs you. I began with MMC 24-0538. Once again, the city is readying itself for court litigation because it didn't get its way in a private settlement matter that's now public. Is the party that's being sued in the wrong? Or is it the city's desire for control of spaces it doesn't have legal right to? So we know that you all finding yourselves in litigation again. I heard some speakers on this as I stood in a breezeway. This particular group, the Texas Garden Club, 64 years. They've been here in this city. And now you all are about to spend millions of dollars, taxpayer money, fighting something that, you could have just let be. But, with this new council, this new top-down council, you all think you know everything. So, and it doesn't apply to all of you all. Like I stated, I don't lump you all up the same, but when I speak, I just speak general. So if the shoe fits, wear it. MMC 0539. Now, regarding mineral rights of the city, what happened to the mineral rights of compensation promises that many residents of this city agreed to in good faith with various gas leasing companies that the city gave authorization and rights of exploration to. And I think this happened under our former mayor, Ms. Betsy Price. And I only say that because, Mayor, one thing you stated publicly, a lot of things have happened before you all's time, but you were chief of staff for Ms. Betsy Price for 5 years, so this falls under your watch as well. And my last item, 0553, truly, when it comes to the homeless plight of this city, we know that individuals are good for putting on a facade, dog and pony show. The typical, while the cameras are rolling, they are acting. It's amazing that we have $30 million plus available for general litigation purposes against the city, but those organizations serving our most vulnerable are made to split funding when it comes to initiatives set out by them. And this is in relation to MMC 24-0553 for those who are interested in knowing what's going on. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Mike C., followed by Carolina Rodriguez.
Mr. C.? Mike, can you hear me?
Let's talk about art.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Let's talk about art. This is Mike C. Let's talk about art and racism. When Kindi Wiley's Judith was featured at the Modern and the Kimball, it disturbed many. The piece depicts a Black woman with a beheaded white woman and it held in her hand. This is not art. It's an antagonism and it's racism. Art today, as much of our society, has evolved. I'll move on now. As I travel around Fort Worth, I see too many art installations that do not capture the essence of Fort Worth, this cowtown of ours. One such, for example, I saw looks to be a steel galvanized utility pole with a trash can cocked on top. It's not art. It's trash. It's a trash can on a utility pole. And we probably paid $100K for it. The two artists you intend to fund based on review of their work most likely will be overpaid, and based on their work, I don't believe they will capture the essence of Fort Worth. Alice Eggert's art consists of pro-abortion message, neon lights, shine art, clothes, rocks, trash, and lint. Letitia R. Bajayo, upon my review, her art is just too abstract. I just don't see it as a match for Fort Worth overall. We are talking about nearly $500,000 for two roundabouts. Can we use this money more responsibly? Lastly, Councilman Williams, have you reviewed these plans for these two art installations? Do they capture the essence of Fort Worth, or is it abstract art? Can you answer? Councilman Williams?
Mr. C., you still have about 40 seconds left. There won't be a response from the dais.
All right, thank you. That's all I have.
Our next speaker is Carolina Rodriguez. Is Ms. Rodriguez here? Okay, Mr. Mata is our next speaker.
My name is Manuel Mata. I live in District 9, and I have a problem with lawsuits where people get hurt by police officers. And I would like y'all to notice a certain police officer, because y'all didn't name him, or they didn't name him. I know who he is personally, because he pulled a gun on me for crossing the street on 7th Street. I just got that case dismissed. And he's not de-escalating, he's escalating. And I don't want y'all to wait until he kills somebody for y'all to step in and put him in a desk or give him paid suspension, right? Because that would be the least that we're asking. Now, she doesn't even want to come in here. And that's crazy for filming. And right here, I have this, and this was done in 2022, where it identifies auditors. It's what she is. So they've known how to do it. They've had case laws, and none of this states that they have the ability to grab a woman and throw her on the ground, split her head open, her eye and her lip. Nowhere does that in any policy, because any force that's unnecessary is excessive. Now, I'm asking y'all, because I personally destroyed a wall that was in my neighborhood because we allowed a police officer, Buddy, to come in there and show us his heart. And what this officer did, the one that I took out, he built 5. So now it's harder for us to listen to what they're talking about. And it only addresses one problem. Are y'all gonna address this, or y'all gonna agree with what he did? Because that's all I'm asking. Look, Mr. Nettles, I appreciate what you asked for, because we do need to see that body cam footage, right? Because if an officer has the idea in his head that he can run around and grab everybody, because this policy, this class that they took doesn't state that. And I read it, and they're mad at me because I understand it specifically. And all I'm doing is showing everyone else what I said 5 years ago. Y'all need to control these people, because the next one is not gonna be up here to be able to be out there or nowhere. You're gonna make funeral arrangements for them. He's a problem. He doesn't understand de-escalation.
Council, that's the last of our speakers on the consent agenda. We can move on to vote on the consent agenda. I can entertain a motion. Thank you. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any other outbursts from the audience? I have to have you removed from the council chamber. Nope, you're not on the list, Mr. Willoughby. Please vote, council. Ma'am. Marshals, if you can remove individuals that have outbursts from the audience, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Our next item will be
Verdano, the HR director, and I was surprised because she wanted to take my CCPD representative and move him over to the Firefighters and Police Civil Service Commission. But totally in line with, Lee's a great guy. I just want to point out, intellectual property attorney with Kelly Hart. He's an adjunct professor with the University of Houston School of Law, as well as Texas A&M. He was a Houston police officer for 8 years and went to night school to get his law degree. He worked at the Department of Commerce. He's got a Bachelor of Science from Texas State University, Master's of Public Administration from the Bush School, and a JD from the University of Houston. So very qualified. Thanks, Lee, for your willingness to serve. I appreciate you being here today. And with that, I'll move to approve.
Motion is second. Please vote. Marshals, I've got several removals that need to take place. This gentleman that's filming in the back needs to go. Mr. Banks, you have to go. Unless you can sit down, that would be great. We've got a lot of agenda items to get through. We appreciate your concerns, but there's a lot for the council to do today. Thank you. You can leave. Yep. Yep. You're not the media. Thank you very much. Yep. I've been called worse. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Please. I think we have a vote. Motion carries. Thank you.
Next will be announcements by city council members involving
Not make the cut, but we still celebrated them there at the Fort Worth Stockyards with the Dallas Mavs crate drop. Mayor Parker was there along with I to support the home team. Next slide, please. All right, on June 13th, the District 2 had an open house, and that was a big success. That format is very effective. We had a lot of city staff there, a lot of resources from the city, and opened it up for the community to come in there on their own time during that time, and appreciate the participation for the many staffers and departments. Next slide, please. All right, let's a nice shout-out moment for the water utility of the city of Fort Worth. Attended the General Assembly of the North Central Texas Council of Governments. Councilmember Crane popped in as well, and they were recognized. Chris Harder was there present as well, and they were bestowed the Regional Community Award for collaborations with the city of Hudson Oaks and Willow Springs. So congratulations to Chris and his team. Next slide, please. All right, the End of Watch, which travels throughout the country supporting those family members that experience a loss of their family members who serve in law enforcement. I joined Councilmember Blaylock and those family members there at the North Division to honor the late Sergeant John Jensen for his service and sacrifice. So thanks to Beyond the Call of Duty and End of Watch ride. Next slide, please. All right, Juneteenth was celebrated there in District 2 as it is annually. It's one of the longer-running celebrations in the city. So we all got together and had a very large parade, the largest to date, and a community event there at Lincoln Park. The far greater historical Northside community went ahead and put that together, so appreciation to Sharon Warren, their president, and Kirkpatrick Middle School Alumni Association for helping out, Corvette Car Club, the Slingshot Clubs, Northwest Crime Division Specialist, Doc Kent was also there, and many of the folks from the city, including Community Liaison Ogunallen and the North Triathletic Center staff. Next slide, please. All right, it was my honor and privilege to present a proclamation from Mayor and Council to Valeria Howard Cunningham of the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo. Gave them a big, Fort Worth welcome, including Mayor Eric Johnson, the city of Dallas, who was there with his family attending. He really did appreciate being there at the Countdown Coliseum.
Eric did say he only got mild booze, so that was good.
He did? Well,
we were somewhat friendly to poor Mayor Johnson in Fort Worth.
I think we were pretty friendly. Thanks, Mayor. Next slide, please. All right, the OSC, which is the 1 Second Collaborative Steering Committee. I co-chair that along with Councilmember Williams, and we met here recently, led by United Way of Fort Worth, had members of the Police Department, Assistant Chief Aldridge, Tarrant County representation, and other stakeholders. And so we're bringing evidence-based approach to addressing youth gun violence. It's a big problem, but we're finding solutions, and we're beginning to assemble certain tangibles for that, and you will hear more about it as we approach that date. All right, I think I have some announcements here. Frost Bank, in collaboration with the City of Fort Worth, is hosting a home event on Saturday, June 29th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Diamond Hill Community Center that has speakers from the city. Frost, Tad, former Councilman Sal Espino will also be covering the transfer on death, legal advice there, as well as a DIY class. Next slide. Marine Creek Ranch HOA is holding their annual fireworks show. It's called Light Up the Lake Fireworks, June 29th, 5:30 to 10 p.m. at Marine Creek Ranch Amenity Center at 5403 Paloma Blanca Drive. So hopefully we'll see you out there. Next announcement, a couple more left. Northside Neighborhood Association's having their annual 4th of July parade on Saturday, July 6th at 9 a.m. Parade route beginning at J.P. Elder and ending at Marine Park for a little party. Next slide. The historic Northside District is celebrating July 4th on July 6th with a Sonidos del Summer headliner Latin Express band. So come on out. It's free entertainment, food trucks, etc. Appreciate all the sponsors. Last announcement, Dog Rescue Day at the Hotel Drover. And if you're searching for your perfect canine companion, this is a good event to come to. Dogs need homes. Our shelters are close to capacity or already at capacity. So come on by. There's good merchandise there that benefit the care of our pets and lots of things, including specialty dog bakery. So come on by Sunday, July 14th from 12 to 3 p.m. That's all I have. Thank you.
Councilmember Hill.
just have one announcement. Enjoy free admission to the Fort Worth Nature Center with your library card on the first Monday, starting July and August. We're gonna have story times from 10 and 11 a.m. at the Hard Work Interpretive Visitor Center in the Nature Center. And for more information, visit the library webpage, or you can scan the QR code. Thank you.
Councilmember Nettles.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor Parker. Dr. Opal new home is this District 8, so we want to thank Trinity Habitat for Humanity, History, Maker Homes, and J.C. Penney's for all sponsoring and making sure that event happened. It was a great event. It was quietly heated out there, but Michael Crane and Mayor Parker and others have joined us in that history-making day. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Go back to that slide. And that's my beautiful daughter, Christiana, had the opportunity to be next with Dr. Opal Lee. Juneteenth celebration at the Lenora Rollins Heritage Center. And y'all look at the slides. I actually designed my own slides this week, so that's probably why Lenora is kind of out. Thank you. Thank you. So I put in the good work, guys. Took me 2 hours. YMCA Youth Art Contest. Had the opportunity to be a judge there. It was a great event down here in downtown Fort Worth. I mean, those slides, look at the slides, guys, pretty cool. YMCA Block Party. The YMCA Block Party, happy birthday to William McDonald. It was heated that day. A lot of people come out. It was a great event. Next slide. Tough Kids celebration, kickball. You see Councilwoman Beck, we was on opposite sides, and the next slide will really show what happened. That is Councilwoman Beck complaining, asking for more points. The next slide, please, shows Councilman Nettles' reaction about why we lost, because Councilman Beck added points to her list. So those are the slides. So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Councilmember Beck.
Opportunity to correct that record. Before we get started on our slides, there is someone standing against the wall over there who's going to be a little embarrassed. One of our city attorneys, Mr. Nico Arias. Not only is today his birthday, but this will be his last council meeting before he leaves us to go join the Navy JAG. So I just wanted to give him an official send-off and congratulations. Happy birthday's coming later. All right, next slide. Okay, so we had an amazing event at Greenbrier Community Center. If you don't know, Texas Parks and Wildlife stocks this pond 4 times a year, but this was the Osprey Bass Anglers Youth Fishing Festival. And you can see there, one of our MPOs, Mike Vargas, is given one of the catfish some loving in that photo. These kids were really doing a great job. There were over 200 participants in that particular event. Next slide. Okay, Trinity Pride Fest. I really appreciate those members of council and former members of council and members of our state delegation that joined us that incredibly hot day out on Magnolia on the Green. Next slide. Just a couple more photos of that day. Next slide. All right, so there's a lot going on at the Fort Worth Zoo right now. If you have not had the opportunity to go out and visit, really in the last 30 days, I suggest you do so because we've been able to open 2 new facilities for them. And this one was the grand reopening of the Mountain and Desert and Texas Wild, which happens to be my favorite part of the zoo because it highlights our Chisos Mountains in that area in far west Texas. And so you can see me hanging out with a couple snakes, and that's in the picture on the right, not the left. Those are my council members, just for clarification. Next slide. We did have the LGBTQ chief of police and fire chief happy hour. It was a really great event, and I think I only have one slide for that. Really appreciate the 440 and the Police Officers Association for underwriting that event to make it really something fantastic. Next slide. Okay, we had a South Hills neighborhood event, and you can see there me with the pupper. More to come on that later. Air One, I can tell you that helicopter and horses are the kids' favorite thing. And then on the right, you'll see a photograph with me and my niece and her Fort Worth PD badge. Next slide. The recruiters get them young these days. Next slide. Okay. This is Blue. Blue was on the euthanization list at our Fort Worth Animal Shelter, and I am a sucker and cannot say no, and so I am now fostering this great big gentle giant. He is looking for a forever home, and I see my predecessor Joel Burns in the room, and he, I think, might take him, but if he doesn't... If he doesn't, he is looking for a great home. I will tell you, he's a really great dog. He's...
We can vote on that, Joel. Does
Yeah.
that sound good? A
Yes.
motion in a second and
Yes.
take care of that.
What's one more? He's a really great dog. He's good with dogs and cats. He's great on a leash. He's a really great hiking partner. He's about 70 pounds, and I imagine he will get a little bigger than that because he's a little skin and bones right now. So, well, they said he's 2, but he's got a little bit more puppy in him than a 2-year-old, so I think he might have some room to grow. But someone please adopt him because I'm becoming attached to him and I cannot keep him. So, next slide. All right, the Texas Pride Impact Fund Luncheon was held here in Fort Worth this year. It was a great event, raising money for to help distribute around the state for LGBTQ organizations doing grassroots work. Next slide. Okay, as you have heard incorrectly, there's been erroneous information about said kickball tournament put out on this dais today, and as you can see, there is a trophy in front of one of our spots, and it's not Councilman Nettles. I think it's because his shorts were not short enough this year, so that's probably why he didn't win. We did win 13-7, and I will tell you 2 of those 7 points were actually supposed to go to us. Okay, 12-7, but 2 of those, it was supposed to be 14-5. They gave him 2 of our points. So even with Councilman Nettles stealing 2 of our points, we were still able to win this year's Tough Stars Give Back Celebrity Kickball Tournament. And 2-0, yeah. We're going strong here in District 9. And the little girl you see there is one of our Fort Worth police officers' daughters, and she was our MVP. I will tell you, that little girl kept me on my P's and Q's. So look out for her because she is going to do something one day for sure. Next slide. Okay, we have the downtown water and sewer replacement briefing this Thursday, June 27th. It's going to be a pretty big project coming to downtown, and there will be some street closures as part of that. Many of you remember the massive water main break that we had on Lancaster last year. The geyser coming up out of the street, it actually called for a swift water rescue. So we will be doing the work to repair that and make sure that we are updating our transmission lines. Next slide. Okay, 4th of July is coming up. I hope you will join us at Panther Island Pavilion on the 4th for a free and legal fireworks show. So I encourage you to hold off on lighting your own fireworks and come see what the professionals do downtown. Next slide. Okay, pet adoption events, not at my house, but you can come pick them up if you want. We have at the Cicada at 1002 South Main on the 28th this July from 2 to 5, and then our Maple Branch Craft Brewery from 1 to 5 on the same day. I normally give a plug that you could have a couple beers and then take a dog home, and that's the way to do it. Or if you really want a German Shepherd, you can call me and we'll get you one. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And last but not least, Councilmember Martinez.
So Elizabeth, I have to say that I think you are Blue's forever home. I do want to share details about our World Environment Day. So June 6th, for those that don't know, was World Environment Day, and we celebrated it in District 11 by hosting an Environment Day event. And so we partnered with our environmental department team and Frost Bank. So a big thank you to Christian Harper, Jim Cazell, Ruben Diaz, for being out there and helping us with this, and also bringing our next-gen ambassadors, and from the Frost Bank team, Christian Martinez, who was here, from our environmental team. So, and this is waste that would usually go, or if, people aren't responsible, to the landfill, but we were able to keep that out of the landfill and, just have a healthier environment. So paints in pounds, we collected 175 pounds, solvents 5 pounds, aerosol 2 pounds, flammable items 100 pounds, so helping organize it. And so next slide. I'd like to invite everybody who's looking for a job or knows somebody that's looking for a job. We're having a citywide job fair partnering with Goodwill of North Central Texas and also Texas Wesleyan University. So it will be on the campus of Texas Wesleyan University from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, August 17th. Registration will open soon, but for now, please help us spread the word. Thank you.
Council, that's the last of our presentations.
Mayor, next will be speakers on non-consent agenda items.
Thank you, Jeanette. Council, we've got a few here that are, I'm going to take and wait to the end because they're mostly on an item that we're actually going to take up towards the end, which is MNC 24-0550 pertaining to Fort Worth Heritage Development. So I'm going to hold off on those speakers. So if I'm out of order, that's why. Our first is Chris Gee. G. Is Chris here? Hi, Chris. Chris will be followed by, just a second here. We're going to pull it out of order and do it after you go ahead and speak. Okay. So yes, you're in good company here.
Great. So my name is Chris G. I'm the president of the Ryan Place Improvement Association. I'm here on behalf of RPIA and want to express enthusiastic support for the renaming place in a force for good throughout the Southside community and Fort Worth at large. Her strong leadership, generous spirit, and meaningful accomplishments on behalf of our community are more than worthy of this honor, so I would ask that the City Council vote in favor of this change when it comes up. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And Councilman Rebecca, I do believe that's the only speaker we have on this item, and we're going to pull it out of order for City Secretary's office. That's MNC 24-0613, and the floor belongs to Councilman Rebecca.
Thank you so much. I'm going to read some of Joan Klein's highlights, and they certainly are just highlights, because if we sit here today, I'm going to get emotional. It's because Joel's here. Down near Southside Corridor known as Magnolia Avenue, where Joan partnered with other community leaders and the City of Fort Worth to lead a public and private restoration projects, including her own 1301 West Magnolia, the landmark building now home to the Pie Tap restaurant. In the early 1990s, many years of Joan's preservation advocacy culminated in the successful local designation and protection of the historic Fairmount neighborhood and the historic homes on Elizabeth Boulevard, setting the stage for a remarkable comeback to those neighborhoods that it continues today. In the mid-1990s, much of Joan's civic energy went to the founding of a pioneering economic and community development organization known today as Near Southside, Inc., established to lead the revitalization of the medical district and surrounding neighborhoods, and boy, did she ever. The ensuing progress was remarkable, and many of the projects and strategies instrumental to the Near Southside's success would become models for other areas across Fort Worth and beyond. Owing over 30 years later, and after many tough battles in courtrooms and council chambers, Joan celebrated the grand opening of the new Hemp Hill-Lamar connector, featuring a signature public art installation and new landmark for Fort Worth's future. Into her 90s, Joan continued to champion important policies and projects that transformed our cities. As a prophet of placemaking long before the phrase was in fashion and a firm believer in the value of quality public spaces, Joan led the expansion of Fire Station Park. Through an unlikely but truly special partnership and friendship, Joan's final and perhaps most community-focused project teamed her with a group of ambitious young skateboarders. Together, Joan and the skateboarding community spent 7 years championing this major expansion of Fire Station Park and the creation of Dickey's Skate Park Plaza, in which she was there to proudly stomp the first skateboard in the ribbon cutting. Joan was absolutely committed to creating and improving public parks, to improving education of our children, and to the preservation of historic neighborhoods and landmarks. Joan was also a woman of the people, working selflessly for her community. Above all these community accomplishments, Joan was truly most proud as a mother, grandmother, and wife. Today, we're going to rename a park in Ryan Place after Joan Klein. And this park is special, and I think so poignant that we name it after her, because it's not just a park in the neighborhood, but it's one that the community has come together and raised funds for to help improve and adopt and make their own. And that is truly the spirit of Joan Klein in action. So I could not think of a better space to name after her. There are some people in the audience that are here because Joan did so much for them when they were leaders on council. And I see Joel Burns and Ann Zeta, and we all have a story to tell about how Joan guided us through the process of representing District 9, always with a loving but firm touch. Several of her children are in the room today, and I'm sure that they will also echo the loving but firm touch that Joan could give. And so at this time, I would like to invite the members of the Klein family up, and Ann Zeta, Joel Burns, if you'd like to share any unique stories or memories about your mother or Miss Joan Klein. Sure.
Mayor Parker, Council. My name is Joe Klein. I'm not only the son of Joan Klein, I also worked with her for the last 25 years at Klein & Company. During that time, I escorted her to just about every awards dinner where she was being honored. Whether it was a public school being named after her because of her commitment to public education, or the Multicultural Alliance that was near and dear to her, or the Near South Side organization that she helped usher into existence. It was also something that she was not real comfortable with, and she did not like speaking in public, even though she did it well. It was never about the accolades for my mother. It was about taking action when there was something she could do that she felt would be good for Fort Worth. That being said, having a public park in her beloved Ryan Place neighborhood, where it all began with her founding of the Ryan Place Improvement Association, renamed to Joan Klein Park, is something I feel she would fully embrace and be very happy with. So on behalf of the Klein family and Klein & Company, we thank you.
Ann's gonna let me go first. When I told my husband JD that I was coming down here, he said, well, if they ask you to speak, please don't cry. We'll see how that goes. I saw a photo of Joan this morning, and I was still in bed, I was looking on Facebook, and my first response was to smile, because there's a lot of happiness that comes with dang it.
Okay, it's the District 9 thing, it's fine.
I'm gonna look at Michael Crane, which may make me cry.
For different reasons.
For different reasons, exactly. And then after, the smile comes the thoughts of sadness, of loss. And all of us who've lost people in our lives that we care about, that loss, the sadness gets more and more stretched out, and it gets a little less intense as time goes by. That will continue. The smiles will always happen with Joan. When I see photos of her, I will always smile. In terms of a story about Joan that Elizabeth asked me to tell, the one that comes to mind is a situation which I won't go into the details, but there was a number of District 9 residents and a number of personal friends who were on one side of an issue, and there were a number of District 9 residents that I represented, including personal friends on another. And there was an impasse, and Joan was a great mentor. She was a great sounding board. She was a great person to say, I don't know what to do on this. And I went to her, and I told her, kind of laid out where things were. And she went through and she said all the good things about the first group, and all the good points that they had, and all the ways that they were right. And then she went through the second group, and she said, these are all the good points about them, and these are the ways that they're right. And then she sat there, dang it. She just let me be in the dissonance of, there are people on different sides of different issues, and it doesn't mean that any one side is wrong. It doesn't mean that one side is bad. There's good in everything, and you just have to kind of let it settle and see. And she's like, you'll come up with the right decision. And that's hard. It's easy to tell a friend, oh, go with A, oh, go with B. It's hard to tell your friends, both are right, and you need to come up with the correct answer. That's a hard thing, and that's a lesson I learned from Joe Klein, for which I'm greatly appreciative.
Well said, Joel.
I did not prepare remarks, so I will just briefly say that some of the biggest accomplishments that I was able to do while I served on Fort Worth City Council were because of and in combination and collaboration with Joan Klein. And what I take away from that is that we should all continue to be motivated to do things in our community to improve and make our communities better. The big things that she worked on, the relocation of I-30, the bringing of a skate park, those are things that we can all accomplish and continue to do that.
And with that, I enthusiastically move to approve.
Council, any other discussion? If not, please vote. Motion carries.
To fulfill a vacancy with the term effective June 25th, 2024 and ending October 1st, 2024. Sean Robart, partial term to the Community Development Council. The respective application and resume are attached. The original copy will be maintained in the City Secretary's office.
Motion a second. Council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is the board appointments for District 11, which I believe Councilmember Martinez is withdrawing at this time.
Councilmember Martinez.
Yes, so I am withdrawing this appointment, and not because, for any bad reason. Ricky Cotto is a great individual who was offered a position or an appointment that would be a better fit. So just with that, I'll motion to withdraw.
Motion and a second. What she's not telling you is that I stole her appointment, and I did not mean to, but it just means that Council District 11 has wonderful people. So we'll be careful about that next time. Please vote, Council. Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 24-4416.
Council, I can entertain a motion on this one. Councilmember Bivens.
I think it goes without saying I would have some remarks on this. And I would like for staff to come to the podium, be prepared for questions. And if there is anyone in the audience who worked on this plan, please wave your hand. I don't want to leave anybody out. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I want to acknowledge the citizens who had countless encounters to get feedback on this master plan. I have seen feedback that indicates there's a desire for a stronger plan. I think the idea that this plan does not include fines has given some people the misunderstanding that we're not going to address fines. So what I will tell you is, and Betsy, you'll remember this, the rains of 2018, after those rains, we realized that the then director of this department had the authority to negotiate fines administratively. So we took that authority away so that people would not think that we were making backdoor deals with people who would cut our trees down. DJ Halton is over the department now. Can you talk about the time frame and why this does not include fines, but we are getting there?
Yes, ma'am. This is an initial work. Basically, the Urban Forestry Master Plan just lays out the overall objectives and goals of the city, and it also offers recommendations for implementation. One of the recommendations, recommendation number 2, includes updating the ordinance with additional fines and additional incentives toward preservation goals.
Now, I don't want you guys tricking me and Alan into anything. My question to you now is there anything in this resolution that in your mind would prohibit or restrict us from deciding on a level of fines in the future? You're not boxing us in, are you?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Alan, you have anything to add?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, DJ. I know a lot of time and energy and effort from a lot of people have gone into this, and I really want to say thank you for that, and along with Mayor Pro Tem, want to be clear that the job is not done yet, and so let's keep working forward towards the best possible solution for our city.
And I want to thank you for stepping in to help me with staff on this. One thing I would have the public know is that when I look at fines being levied in other cities, you know, Dallas has a minimum fine of $2,000 if you take away an old growth tree. You know, ours has people, the way we're looking at it is, you know, we're going to look at inches. I don't like that. I think that gets a little bit too manipulative, and it gives someone the freedom to say, oh, well, I could just go cut that down because it's 5.5 inches. I don't want that kind of crazy going on. And so we will have a robust conversation leading up to hopefully September, Mayor, because I want to get these fines cleared before we enter the silly season of the election, you know, for next year. And so my goal is to have this on the agenda for September where we talk about fines. And I'm letting all the tree huggers out there know, get ready, because it's going to be a conversation, and I think every tree hugger in Fort Worth, that includes myself, will be very happy with this. Elizabeth, I don't know what that character is that you call me.
The Lorax. She speaks for the trees.
Okay. One day I'm going to, I don't know what that is. One day I'm going to figure that out. But she told me it wasn't negative. He tells me it's Dr. Zeus. So I'll check with Paul Geisel on that to make sure you're not calling me out of my name. But whatever it takes to make people understand, we in Fort Worth are not going to tolerate developers coming here going willy-nilly taking down our trees. The sad thing is, when the trees were taken down back in 2018, because we're not going to have our trees taken out because we're being too timid. And so I just wanted you to know, general public, this isn't the end of it, but it is a very well-labored beginning. I think we updated the ordinance 2009 before we took away that authority in 2020. And so 2024 is the year I want to see us really get this anchored in. And I expect you to bring that to me. And if there's anything in here that your people are trying to trick us into, I'm going to call you out on it at that microphone, because we've got to be able to do right by the trees. And so with that, yeah, I move for approval.
Got a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion, council? Thank you, and thank you, DJ. Chris, try again, sorry. You good?
Okay.
Motion carries.
Next is item 24-4370.
Council, we do have one speaker on this item, Mr. Willoughby. If he's still here, marshals can grab him. I will say I appreciate my council. There's a lot of different good ideas and opinions about any different council rules of procedure. And so I had asked council to consider tabling this item until August when we come back to do a full work session for open public discussion on any changes of rules. And then we would ultimately vote on that subsequent meeting after that. And any discussion is welcome at this time. I just wanted to lay the land before we asked Mr. Willoughby to speak, if he's here. No go? Okay. With that, I can open the floor with any discussion. Otherwise, we can motion to table. Is that what you need us to do?
No,
Go ahead,
yes,
Councilmember
Mayor,
Nettles,
I
thank
agree
you.
with you. Give an opportunity for us to discuss this in open work session about some of the ideas that I brought forward. So I will motion to continue this item until.
Do you need a certain date? Just
table it?
We'll bring it back in August.
Okay.
Got a motion to table on the floor. Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion, council? Please vote.
Next item is 24-4328.
Got a motion and a second. Council, thank you for support. Just for the public's note here, I'm appointing myself to the board of the Metropolitan Area EMS Authority, known as MedStar. Most importantly, because this is a serious opportunity for the city of Fort Worth, and I thought it warranted the strength. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is 24-4420.
Motion, council. Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Jared stepped away. Thank you.
Next item is 24-4419.
Council, this is the ordinance pertaining to the Fort Worth Community Land Trust. I know we had several briefings on this item, but I might ask Fernando Costa to come down just very briefly and talk about this before we continue with a vote. It's quite an exciting opportunity for the city and still early in its infancy of where it's headed. Fernando?
Thank you, Mayor Parker. The Fort Worth City Council has been instrumental in the creation of the Fort Worth Community Land Trust and in helping the Land Trust to acquire property for the development of affordable housing. The Land Trust essentially will own the land and will develop affordable housing, which they will sell to working families in order to help them become independent. And the ordinance that appears on your agenda today would formally recognize full city property taxes. Effectively, the city will receive more revenue from the property in the future than we have been receiving because the property was formerly owned by the seminary and therefore had been tax exempt. So we recommend your favorable action on this ordinance today.
Thank you, Fernando. Questions from council? Councilmember Beck, please.
Before I make the motion to approve, for those of you who aren't familiar with how this project took shape, it was a panicked phone call at like 4 o'clock to the mayor. Do you know anybody at the seminary? And they're about to sell this property, and it seems like an important piece of land for the city. And so I appreciate the mayor's willingness to jump in and get the ball rolling. And it went over several iterations of what it was going to look like, and we were incredibly fortunate to have some philanthropic groups in the city that stepped up to make this possible. And when we talk about affordable housing, one of the rubs that we typically hear is that, well, it's just rental properties, and what does it do to help build generational wealth for these folks? And this is truly an opportunity for the city of Fort Worth to help these families have that pride of home ownership and build that generational wealth so that they can improve their lot in life. And so I am very excited to make the motion to approve what will be the largest land trust in the United States when all of this is said and done.
In a second, council, any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0591.
And we have one speaker on this item, Bob Willoughby, but I don't believe he's still
Mayor,
here.
we have a staff report by...
Yeah, I know. Okay. I'm just letting you know. And then our staff report will be by Lorraine Coleman.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Lorraine Coleman with the Police Department, and the purpose of today's hearing is to receive public comment and act on a proposed amendment to the fiscal year 2024 budget of the Crime Control and Prevention District. City Council approval is the final step in the CCPD budget amendment process. City Council, this amendment was approved by the CCPD Board and reallocates savings in the Recruit and Training Initiative to the Equipment, Technology, and Infrastructure Initiative in the amount of $4,265,000 for the Northwest Patrol Division project. At the May 21st CCPD Board meeting, staff made a recommendation to amend the budget by shifting forecasted savings from the Recruit Training Program into the Facility Requirement Program with no increase to the total fiscal year 2024 CCPD budget. This reallocation will fund deficits in the Northwest Patrol Division project, which are due to the additional site work needed based on the condition of the property, as well as increases in construction costs since its inclusion in the 2022 bond program. The reallocation of funds from one program to the other does not increase the fiscal year 2024 budget, nor does it use fund balance. Following any public comment, staff recommends the city council close the public hearing and act on the budget amendment in M&C.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Any questions for Lorraine? If not, we can proceed with a motion.
Move to approve, and I have just some brief remarks. Kudos to staff for the utilization of these savings to the new Northwest Division.
Motion and a second, council. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0611 with report by Lori Gordon.
Ms. Gordon?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Lori Gordon. I'm the Planning Manager with the Park and Recreation Department. The purpose of this public hearing is for public comment on the proposed use of a portion of Forest Park for a maintenance area. Forest Park is located in Council Districts 3 and 9. Staff is seeking Council's authorization, excuse me, my notes, I'm changing tense here. Use a portion of Forest Park for a maintenance area for the installation of a stormwater drainage project. In accordance with Chapter 26 of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Code, City Council must fire the use of parkland. In this case, the implement of stormwater drainage improvements to mitigate flooding is the reason. The proposed project improvements include the installation of a 36-inch pipe at Rogers Avenue and University Drive as part of a city drainage improvement project. Construction is anticipated to begin in July of 2024 and last approximately 4 months. No roadways or trails will be closed during construction, no trees are impacted, and the park will be restored to previous condition or better upon completion of the project. In accordance with the state law, the proposed use of parkland will be advertised in the city's Fort Worth Star-Telegram on June 4th, June 11th, and June 18th of 2024. Information announcing the proposed use of parkland was posted on the city's webpage, signage posted at the project site, and sent via email to the registered neighborhood associations within 1.5 miles of the project site on June 10th of 2024. As of this date, staff has received no public inquiries on the proposed use as a result of these postings. On May 22nd of 2024, the Park and Recreation Advisory Board endorsed staff's recommendation to the City Council to authorize the use of the portion of Forest Park for a maintenance area for a drainage improvement project, and staff recommends hearing any additional public comment, and upon completion of the public comment period, staff recommends that City Council close the public hearing and act on the M&C. Thank you.
Any questions for Lori? If not, we can proceed with closing the public hearing and taking an action. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be MNC 24-0612 with report by Lori Gordon.
Good afternoon again, Council and Mayor. Forest Park is a busy place lately. Once again, I'm Lori Gordon with the Planning Manager of the Park and Recreation Department. The purpose of this public hearing is for public comment on the proposed use of a portion of Forest Park for utility easement. Forest Park is located in Council Districts 3 and 9. Staff is seeking City Council's authorization to use a portion of Forest Park for a utility easement as part of a city drainage improvement project adjacent to the zoo. In accordance with Chapter 26 of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Code, City Council must find that no feasible or prudent alternative exists for the location of the proposed improvements and find that the proposed locations include all reasonable planning to minimize impact to the parks. The Chapter 26 process is to protect public parks and recreation land when non-park related projects require use of parkland. In this case, the use of parkland is for the installation of a utility easement as part of a city drainage improvement project adjacent to the zoo. The proposed project improvements include installation of a fiber communication line through the park. The construction is anticipated to begin in July of this year and last about 4 months. There will be no impact to the park, and the park will be returned to previous condition or better upon completion. In accordance with the state law, the proposed use of parkland will be advertised in the Fort Worth Star-Telegram on June 4th, 11th, and 18th of 2024. Information announcing the proposed use of parkland was posted on the city's webpage, signage at the project site, and once again, sent via email to the registered neighborhood associations within 1.5 miles of the project site on June 10th. As of today, city staff has received no public inquiries on the proposed use of the, because of these postings. On May 22nd, the Park and Recreation Advisory Board endorsed staff's recommendation for City Council to authorize the use of a portion of Forest Park for a maintenance area for drainage improvement projects. Staff recommends hearing any additional public comment, and upon completion of the public comment, staff recommends council close the public hearing and vote on the M&C. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Council, I can entertain a motion. Motion a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is M&C 24-0552 with report by Sharon Berkeley.
Sharon.
Good afternoon, Mayor Parker and members of the City Council. I'm Sharon Berkeley, Community Development Planning Manager with the Neighborhood Services Department. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive comments regarding the 2024 to 2025 Annual Action Plan required for the city's receipt of grant funds from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. The action plan specifies how HUD grant funds will be used in the upcoming program year, which is year 2 of the consolidated plan, from October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2025. Total amount of grant funds budgeted through this 2024 to 2025 action plan is $13,036,747, as well as an estimated amount of $100,000 in program income from use of grant funds in prior years. The specific grant sources are the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, the Home Investment Partnerships Program, HOME, the Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG, and the Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS Program, HOPWA. The overall purpose of these funds is to assist services, aging in place, neighborhood improvement and revitalization, homelessness prevention and special needs support, and healthy living and wellness. Recommendations for this plan's funding allocations were developed with the assistance of the Community Development Council, which is the city's advisory board for use of these grant funds. This public hearing follows a 30-day comment period on the draft action plan, which ran from Wednesday, May 15th until Friday, June 14th. The draft plan was posted on the city's website for public review, and copies were distributed to 2 regional city libraries, as well as made available in the Neighborhood Services Administrative Office. One additional public hearing was held during this 30-day period on May 29th at E.M. Chamblee Library. As referenced in the submitted action plan, an amended plan will be submitted in the event that one or more awarded agencies is unable to execute a contract with the city if required to do so by HUD. Staff is requesting that following any additional comments received today, this public hearing be closed and the M&C be approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. We do have 2 speakers on this item. The first is Tyrone Bryant, followed by Adrian Smith. Sorry. Okay. Mr. Smith?
So as it relates to this particular agenda item, you all will notice in your council correspondence that I signed up as being against this. However, I'm not against the allocation of the money and the purpose that this money is going to serve. It's going to serve a great purpose. What I am against, however, is who's going to ensure that this federal money that's earmarked for these very necessary purposes are used rightly. Now, this is nothing to these various agencies receiving it, this funding. Nothing to these agencies. I'm grateful for these agencies, but we know there's a lack of funding when it comes to those who are considered the least in this community, in this city. So hopefully with this federal money that's earmarked, that has been earmarked, there will be some type of accountability, because we know what you all did with the ARPA funds, if I need to remind everyone. Flush with federal funds, Fort Worth spends $146 million in 6 months. This was the ARPA funds. Fort Worth report dated May 17, 2020. So I know you're getting sleepy, Mayor. I know you're getting sleepy. But it's your job to sit there and listen. So, again, this federal money. We know federal money, once it comes in, if there's no oversight, it vanishes. Federal money has a tendency to just magically end up in places it shouldn't. Unlike local tax dollars, you know, that you all have to make sure you dot all your I's and cross all your T's on, because you know there's a greater scrutiny when it comes to local money. But federal money, we know everybody puts their hand in a pot when it comes to federal money and take out, you know, because there's never no oversight in federal, you know, with the federal money. So to all of the agencies receiving funding, it's my desire that you get more. It's my desire that you get more. Thank you for all that you do as it relates to the various services that you provide to the city for those who have needs. But again, with this group, this is my last time putting this disclaimer. It doesn't apply to all of you, but to this group.
Our speakers on this item. Motion and a second. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-012.
Councilmember Flores, we do have a few speakers on this item. I believe all of them but one are only if there's opposition, so I'll call on Nick Martin first. There is opposition, I apologize. So Nick Martin, followed by Jason Eggenberger. Is Nick here? Okay. And Nick, as you're getting started, Darren, just for clarification, I think you were on the different item, but do you want to speak on this item? Okay, perfect, thank you. Nick, go ahead. Yeah, it's fine. Jason Eggenberger?
Hi, my name is Jason Eggenberger. I work with 97W Architects. We do a lot of urban infill within the city. This project is on North Main Street. It is known as the Mulholland Building. It's a collective group of buildings. There's a single story, another single story, and then two-story buildings that kind of make one complete complex. This project is into federal historic as well as state historic. And we've already received comments back from state that we've addressed. And so that's kind of where that building currently sits. The uses for the building would be your typical mixed use. It would be sort of local restaurant, retail, dumpster. Since tract 1 is landlocked, we'd like to put a dumpster there, and it would provide 16 parking spaces, which would help the building operate. Anything else? I think that's most of the detailed things.
And Jason, just for my orientation, this site plan that you handed us,
Yes, ma'am.
is the parking lot what you just described and the dog park that is adjacent to that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's track 2. Thank you.
And so that would give a buffer from QT. I think that some of the issues that have been brought forth with the neighborhood would be issues from QT to that to then what would be the residential. So I believe that would be a great buffer there with the green and then the parking lot. So kind of stop some of the issues from the QT flow in that direction.
Right, and do you know in the past if on that second story there's ever been housing or multifamily?
There was housing
Okay.
there originally. I think there was. I think when the neighborhood first started, I think Jewish workers were actually the ones living there. So
Okay.
we have found some of that.
Okay, very interesting.
And a
Thank you.
hotel. That's right. It was also a hotel.
Thank you.
So workforce living, I would call it.
Okay, thank you, Jason. I don't have any other questions. Carlos, did you have questions for Jason?
No questions, Mayor, but I do have remarks later.
Okay, I'll wait. Thank you. Nick Martin?
Nick Martin, District 3, partner, together with Theron Bryant and Jeff Givens. In the last month or so, we've had some community outreach. We've spoken with the Northside Neighborhood Association, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and then gone back out and spoken with some local residents on the Commerce Street and Central Street there. We've spoken to them about their concerns. The majority is encroachment on the neighborhood. Given the specific zoning requests, we've downgraded those. So the MU1, we've downgraded that. We're open to removing the hotel use to Try to lower the parking concerns in the future. On the parking lot, the two lots there, track 2 behind that, we're going for a PD neighborhood commercial, and that is the lowest setting that we possibly can ask for. We're going as low as we can, putting restrictions in place so that that can never be used for anything else in the future, or we would have to go back before this council and request additional PD changes. While speaking to the residents, they seemed to acknowledge that given those restrictions in place, we're not trying to bulldoze the neighborhood, we're not trying to push anyone out, it's really just these 2 lots. This parking will be used for some of the residents, the 16 residents of the apartments that are on the 2nd floor, and we don't want to contribute to the parking issues that this street and the area already have. And in quality life, so basically, I will be taking over after the development phase for the property management. So this project is long-term. This is a long hold. This isn't something that we're gonna come into, develop, and then leave. We're here for the long haul. And from a property management standpoint, I will be there with my team. So working with neighborhood residents to watch that security. We're putting up security cameras, additional lighting. We're gonna have nightly security patrols, daytime patrols with property management. Cleanliness, we're gonna be washing trash. Residents have talked about there's some serious trash issues, including there are people experiencing homelessness in this area, so we will be working with the community, with the local residents to work on improving those issues. From a curb appeal standpoint, we're going to be rejuvenating the front. So all in all, most of the residents that we spoke to see this as a net benefit to that area, the historic Marine District. Thank you very much.
Nick, question, I know it's probably contingent upon this zoning case, but do you have retailers that you're trying to focus on for this particular site?
We do, and actually Theron can speak a little bit better
That's
to
great.
that.
Thank you, Nick.
Any other questions?
It's not a question, but
Go ahead.
before we get to that point, I want to offer some elaboration. We touched on this earlier back in May when I decided to continue this case, but it's noteworthy to say that we're very sensitive in the approach, and I say we, including my office, the developers, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Northside Historic District, to the perceived impacts, right, to the neighborhood, because there is B2 residential that is, rearing North Main on that corridor. And so the parking lots that are referred to, there is precedent for them. The now defunct El Rancho Grande Tex-Mex restaurant, which now is the original, has an overflow parking lot already and has for years on North Commerce. Next to it, the Mulholland Company also had an overflow parking lot. So this is without precedent. There are empty lots there that we're utilizing to help support this redevelopment. And to offer a little more detail, there is a homeless issue, an ongoing homeless issue on the QT at the end of the block. You have homeless folks that migrate through the alleyway, and it causes a lot of concern for the residents on North Commerce. When we first met and discussed this, one of the ideas that I presented to the developer, and they were very open to it, is maybe perhaps vacating the alleyway or having some security measures there from the parking lots that would alleviate that problem. So there are a lot of benefits to that. And again, thank you for crafting that CBA. I think that's also a testament to your long-term commitment.
Thank you, Councilmember Flores. Our next speaker is Theron Bryant, followed by David Siros.
Thank you, Council. Yes, I'm here to maybe talk about the original vision and where we are now. The original vision was definitely as you drive in from the north heading to the Stockyards, that's the first look. So we wanted to bring that back and bring commerce onto North Main and really specifically to the Marine District. We have focused our leasing on a, I guess, Hispanic, Latina type tenant mix, and but in the direction that we're looking for, which is La Panderia and La Palteria, so ice cream and bread. And we've also got a kind of Western, a well-known Western Hispanic even clothing. So it's that's going well, and our direction's going very well on that. So, but that is, any questions? Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that, got distracted there. Thank you, Theron. Our next speaker is David Sirios, followed by Annette Landeros. Annette Landeros.
Hello, Council. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak on behalf of this project, only because we've been really involved with this. One, this is the property across the street directly from our Hispanic Chamber of Commerce building where we've been sitting for about 25, 26 years. And two, because we, as you know, are engaged with Main Street America for the commercial revitalization of that corridor. So during this process, I have to say that when the Mulholland's building went on sale, we were a little nervous because we didn't know what would happen with basically an entire block of this commercial district. But as great nosy neighbors, we watched out for anyone that was interested in purchasing, and we were actually connected to the team prior to their purchase and discussing the vision of the historic Northside District and what we'd hope to come from that. Throughout that point, they've been very transparent. They've been meeting with us regularly. They've been addressing community concerns. As mentioned by Councilman Flores, the major concern is the commerce parking lots. Not necessarily the parking lots we understand, it's more that the rezoning would trigger potentially more commercial activity on the neighborhood side of things. However, we have reassured them because they understood. They said that we were told that they were okay with the parking lots as long as they stay parking lots. And it's my understanding in working with city staff that we've been able to reassure them that in a planned development, no changes can be made without going back to zoning and council. So if that changes, that will trigger that process again. Additionally, we've hosted a Zoning 101 workshop to help provide opportunities for the planning department, which brought out the majority of their team to the Rose Marine Theater to discuss and ask questions, not just about this, but about zoning in general, as we're a community learning about zoning and what that could mean for allowing us to get some of our businesses in there to look at the space. Our hope is to have leases signed by businesses that are locally owned, but that are also celebrating the culture of the neighborhood. And I commend Theron for continuing to struggle to say panaderia, but he still does it, and so I'm proud of him. And so that is about it. They're also donating and hoping to commission local artists, make donations to the local high school scholarship fund, and really they've extended just the gracious commitment that they want to become a part of the community. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Annette. Questions from council? Councilmember Flores, you're good. Thank you, Annette. Our next speaker is Richard Perez. Is Richard here?
We have him online, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mr. Perez?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Richard Perez, long-term resident of the historic Marine neighborhood on 1400 North Commerce Street. I'm here today standing in solidarity with 22 signed petition neighbors, also the Northside Neighborhood Association and Fort Worth Environmental Coalition of Communities. We support the retention of the B2 family residential zoning in our community. Our concern is only track 2 of this zoning case. We support the developers in their track 1 on commercial Main Street, and we wish them well. We ask that the city council and the developers refrain from requesting or rolling back any residential zoning in our neighborhood. We're concerned of a ripple effect that a planned development zone commercial could have on our neighborhood, leading to the destruction of our neighborhood homes and displacement. An example of a rollback of our protected residential zoning is the Quick Trip gas station store now in our neighborhood that was initially opposed due to increased traffic concerns. The traffic did increase, noise increased, and homeless traffic was reintroduced to our neighborhood. And to add, there are now idling semi-trucks parking in our neighborhood behind the Quick Trip. I've had a few Fort Worth and interested development folks trying to upsell me on the PD zones lately, but from our perspective, those PD zones are stepping stones and stealthy ways to remove our protective residential zoning. We don't want any more PD zones in our neighborhood per se, and we ask that the proposed parking lot in this case be allowed with the current B2 family zoning with allowances for a renewing permit for their dumpster. Recently, I've learned there seems to also be a PD neighborhood option available as well with allowances for parking and dumpster. This could be a consideration. I think we all could agree on if it has to be a PD. But furthermore, there are 3 current parking lots in the neighborhood zone residential as good faith measure agreements between the owners and the residents. We asked for similar zoning in this case once again. Our neighborhood has experienced growth in home remodels and new builds, and we're an older neighborhood and considered one of the oldest, if not the oldest, Latino neighborhood in Fort Worth. Your decision today supports a true cultural segment of legacy families and their homes in our city, or it further unravels it. And recently it's been said that in this city council that any bad zoning decisions made before their time take time to fix. I think now is the time to get this one right. So please vote to preserve our historic Marine neighborhood, our neighborhood, by retaining our residential zoning in this case. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gladys Guevara. By phone
Gladys?
as well.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hi, this is Gladys. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So I just wanted to start with, I'm a resident of the Northside neighborhood, not particularly Marine Park area, but we're within the same vicinity. I just wanted to make claim that there's a lot of history to this neighborhood. One in particular, in 1991, the reporter Deborah Ferguson, which is now with the NBC5, reported on a similar concern for residents for this community, specifically for Marine Park. She reported that there was an estimated 90 homes that are in the historic area that were rezoned in 1940 to be light industrial. That rezoning directly impacted the residents, with restrictions of home improvements and environmental impacts to those living in that area. That person that led that effort was Albert Perez, which is actually the dad of Richard Perez that you heard from. We are opposed to track 2. Like Richard said, there's 22 signed petitions within the 300-foot radius of the property. And in this case, Albert Perez has also was advocating for the rezone of the residents to be. I know that it was mentioned that PD commercial was the lowest form of reclassification. Our understanding from zoning is that you could, consider with the approval of council is that it could be put to residential B plus parking with dumpster. Again, that's always been the concern from the beginning. We're not trying to impose the progress for the community for the commercial property, but we also want to have protection for our residents. There's a long-standing history there, and this just incites more commercial growth and elimination of historical homes. This is eliminating the history of the Stockyards area. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Flores, that's the conclusion of our speakers on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate everyone coming to speak today, and also, more importantly, everyone that's been involved in the continued outreach. Back in May, I continued this case primarily for the purpose of continued outreach, but also more effective outreach. I communicated that to the developers and their representatives, and also to the Chamber of Commerce and the historic Northside District. And that has occurred. There's been meaningful outreach, and by that I mean this, including not just the zoning, meeting that we had at Office Santa Rosa, but also door-to-door, one-on-one outreach. And that has happened. I have verified that. I appreciate it. Several of the residents have contacted me directly and have expressed their support of this project. And again, the majority of the residents there in historic Marine do support it. I do want to say something. There is a master plan, I've alluded to this before, that was crafted a few years ago at the time before I was a council member. I was a participant, and so was Richard Perez, his late father, Albert Perez. That master plan for the historic Marine area also included that corridor, and it had measures of preservation of that neighborhood in mind already. This has been done. It's a great confluence of things and an opportunity the way it happens here. If this developer doesn't take the opportunity to redevelop it to MU, a mixed-use approach, well, what's the possible future? Another industrial use? I think that's more of a negative impact on that neighborhood, right? The opportunities that we have to improve the area in terms of safety, addressing the ongoing homeless issue. Again, these must be seized now. I live in that area, I've lived in this area all my life. I would not do anything to endanger this area or put anything negative that could potentially impact it. This is a good opportunity, I think. Again, all these portions, of this development have good potential to improve the area while still preserving that residential. And again, I alluded to the precedent of those empty lots becoming parking lots several years before. We're trying to offload parking from the residential streets. That was an issue years ago. And with this approach, that is an effective solution. Keep in mind, the developer is also pursuing, a historic designation. Now, not get too far in the weeds, but if they get it, when they get it, that removes the parking requirement. That would not be a good thing. I communicated this to both the Northside Neighborhood Association and to Mr. Perez. They were aware. I think that this is a better approach to keep the parking of this redevelopment off those neighborhood streets. And so just keep in mind, when I think about this, I think about a quote: "Nothing results from human progress that is achieved with unanimous consent," right? I've listened to both sides, of the equation here with folks not sure if they're going to support it, folks that are against it, and folks that are for it. The majority of the residents that I've spoken to are for it. Now, I do want to address this petition. I don't know if anyone from zoning is here. Yeah, whoever can tell me about this petition, because this is the first I've heard about it.
Council member, this is the first that we're aware of a petition as well.
Okay. Let me just remind everyone involved. Getting a petition is fine, but the petition has to have some structure to it. When council looks at a petition, it's not just a collection of signatures. What we need to know are the addresses of those signing on. We need to know, in printed form, not just a signature. And it has to be submitted in a timely fashion. During all this outreach, that has never occurred. If this is late breaking, I understand that. But again, that ship has sailed. The majority of the residents of the historic marine area support this. And those are the ones that are most impacted, and therefore that's who I'm going to listen to very intently. So with that, I make a motion to approve this zoning case.
Got a motion and a second. Let me just close by saying how fortunate both your North Side, your historic marine, and the Stockyards are to be represented by Councilmember Flores. You're incredibly thoughtful. Every zoning case is difficult right now in your area because there's so much excitement around Council District 2. And I think you got to demonstrate that today of how thoughtful he is and careful to consider all parties. And I think your developers were probably made better because of it too, because he had so much attention to detail. So enthusiastic support for Councilmember Flores. Council, you can vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-029.
We have no speakers on this item. Council, can entertain a motion. Motion a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-035.
No speakers on this item. Councilman Martinez.
So staff and both zoning commission voted to deny this, so I'm moved to deny.
Motion a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-036.
Mayor Pro Tem Bivens, we do have one speaker on this item, Jeremy Smith. Only if there's opposition. To my knowledge, there is none. I'll turn the floor to you first. You tried to do it this way.
Okay.
There it goes. Did it work?
Yeah,
Technology.
okay. The zoning commission recommended denial in this case, but the property owner is here. And so, Mr. Smith, it's my intent not to uphold the denial, provided you are okay with this amendment that I want to make from the floor. And the amendment reads, I'll amend this zoning change to A5, single family, with no more than 5 homes on the property, giving us a 50-foot lot width. Is that okay with you? Okay. And so with that, I move for approval. And Mr. Smith, I want to thank you for coming. You never know when anybody can come in and sign up to oppose what you're trying to do. And so I know you were meeting with Babers Manor, that project, but thanks for being here and thanks for what you're doing in Stop 6.
Yeah. Vote again, Jared. You're good. Motion carries. And Jeremiah, just for your knowledge, we are going to close today's meeting later on in Coach Robert Hughes' honor. And since you played with him, maybe you want to stick around for that. Just letting you know.
Next item is ZC-24-038.
Councilmember Hill.
I think we have one speaker.
Oh, we do. It's only for opposition. We don't have any. So they're all 3 speakers. Well, I guess I can ask Elaine Torres. Are you here to speak no matter what?
We have her online.
Okay,
there.
great.
Ms. Torres?
Good afternoon. Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Council. I am Elaine Torres. I'm the Vice President of Land Development for LGI Homes. First, I apologize for not being able to be there in person, but I am really just here to answer any questions that may come up. This passed really easily through planning and zoning. We are asking to rezone a multifamily tract. It's a 5-acre tract, and zone it to E neighborhood commercial. Thank you.
Councilmember Hill.
Ms. Torres, do y'all have a plan yet for the site?
Yes, we have, I believe staff had, it was in the packet. It is a basic site plan. It's just a suggested site plan. Nothing has been designed as of right now.
Okay, thank you. With that, I just move to approve.
Motion a second, Council. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-045.
No speakers on this item, Councilmember Crane.
Yeah, Mayor, I've been alerted by staff. The developer would like to pull this, so I'm going to move to continue this case to August 13th.
Second by Councilmember Larsdorf. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-048.
Councilmember Nettles. We do have one speaker on this item. Sorry about that. Aaron Segal. Okay. Councilmember Nettles, I turn to you first.
Move for approval.
Motion a second. Please vote.
Thank you.
Motion carries.
Next item is ZC-24-052.
And Councilmember Nettles, we do have one speaker on this item, Adrian Smith.
So, this particular zoning board, they make their recommendations, whether for or against an applicant's request. But you all, as the council, had a discretion to override it, and we've witnessed you all override the zoning commission, whether there's approval or denial. And sometimes it's against your constituents' desires, and sometimes it's for your constituents' desires. But however, we know that when it comes to developers, developers should never be above your constituents, first and foremost. These children that sat here today, do you think those children elected any of you? No, because they're not at the age of
I'm
electing
sorry, I'm going to
anyone.
interrupt. Point of order. Can we pause this time? This sign isn't germane.
Sustained. Councilmember Adrian, if you want to keep going on this particular issue.
So, like I said, this particular plot of land, because I know that a lot of you say that you heard from your constituents as it relates to denial or approval of particular zoning cases. So, Mr. Nettles, have you heard from anyone as it relates to this particular zoning case? Because I know that, is my mic on? We have a tendency to put on when the camera's on, but I know that
Yes, I can actually
a
answer
lot of you all.
that
hold on.
question for you.
You can answer that when I get through speaking, sir.
Well, here we
No,
go.
actually, you're,
Yeah, you're done.
Councilmember, I mean, Adrian, you cannot be
Pause my
rude.
time.
You have no
May I-
limits.
may I
No,
reclaim my time?
your time is stopped because you have no ability at any point during you have no decorum. Every time you come here, it is some nonsensical argument that no one can follow. And here again, it's one more time. So I think I'm going to conclude your time and let you go home. Good luck.
And thank you, Mayor, for that. And so, thank you, Belinda, for meeting with me the other day. We're going to continue this case until August the 13th, because I have heard from the constituents of District 8 who actually wants to approve this. And so, I also met with the developer, and we're all on one accord. So, thank you. That's my motion.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Councilmember Nettles. Please vote. Motion to continue passes.
Next item will be MNC 24-0574, 0575, 0576, and 0577. I believe Councilmember Martinez has one motion for all four.
Thank you. Councilmember Martinez, the floor is yours.
Yes. So I move that the Fort Worth City Council adopt the resolution authorizing use of the power of eminent domain to acquire the following: 0.017 acres in permanent sewer facility easement at 616 East Arlington Avenue in the Hyde Park Addition, Block 4, Lot 76, Tarrant County, Texas, owned by Maria Flores Alvarez, Rosa Alvarez, Benita Alvarez, Leonor Alvarez, Santos Alvarez, Isabel Alvarez. Project, a public use that will upgrade and repair the permanent sewer line facility. 0.004 acres in permanent sewer easement located at 2321 Emily Drive in the 40 Oaks Addition, Block 1, Lot 5, Tarrant County, Texas, and owned by Isabel Flores and Arcelia Flores. 0.005 acres in permanent sewer facility easement at 2329 Emily Drive in the 40 Oaks Addition, Block 1, Lot 6, Tarrant County, Texas, and owned by J. Isabel Flores and Maria A. Flores, and 0.006 acres in permanent sewer facility easement at 2317 Emily Drive in 40 Oaks Addition, Block 1, Lot 4, Tarrant County, Texas, from real property owner owned by George Adriel Barraza Herrera and Maria La Luz Marin Silva. The land rights in these properties are needed for the sanitary sewer rehabilitation contract 90 Part 2 project, a public use proposed future easement that will repair damaged sewer lines, allow better flow within the sewer pipes, and help prevent sewer backups between Station 2 and 17 and Station 2 and 77 on Lot 3824. The property interest to
Carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0580.
Councilmember Crane.
Yes, Mayor, I move that the Fort Worth City Council adopt the resolution authorizing the use of power of eminent domain to acquire 0.65 acres in fee simple from real property owned by Patricia Miller, deceased. The property interest is needed for the Bombersburg Trail project to construct is to be acquired is described by meets and bounds and depicted by survey exhibits attached to this mayor and council communication.
Motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next item is MNC 24-0550, with one correction being read into the record, and that is the correct council district should be District 2, not 9.
Jeanette. Council, we have quite a few speakers on this item. Our first is Melissa Wade Hunter, followed by Adrian Smith.
Was to speak in opposition, so am I in the correct order?
Yes, ma'am, they're just in order here on the list.
Okay.
Ms. Hunter, you can continue. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Melissa Wade Hunter. I'm here speaking on behalf of the North Fort Worth Historical Society, started in 1976. And we too are very grateful to have Carlos Flores as the district council person for this area. He knows and he is concerned about the history and of the area. We are concerned that we don't see the following in phase 2, the historic pins, which is your first slide. These pins have a unique design that is described in this first, I'm sorry, it's not the pin itself, it's the description of the construction. There are only a few left of the original 2,600 pins. Also on the bottom is scale house A, is the only remaining scale house left. Scale house, it has a description of what a scale house was. It is an actual scale on ground level where cattle were loaded on and off to measure the cattle. The catwalk and the turnstile. The turnstile on the next slide is 121 years old. The catwalk is very special, as probably all of you have known and seen there. Without those, and these are the only ones left, without those, you only have duplicated stuff. If the existing historic pins are destroyed, so goes the unique gate and hinge system that move cattle from one pen to another. These historic building blocks are the real working parts of the history which made Fort Worth. Visitors are thrilled to be able to see and walk around the pins and catwalk going through the turnstile. The ongoing ordeals for the Stockyards that we have concerns for. We had a visitor center that won a beautification award from the Fort Worth Women's Club. That was the picture on the left with the green lawn. Now we have the front of the exchange lawn, looks like that. That was a June 2024 picture taken. I'm gonna try to get this through fast, so that's why I'm reading. The previous visitor center was in a huge building, actually had restrooms, and now on the right, you see the existing visitor center. That is for the millions of visitors that we're all talking about coming to this area. For even with the reprogrammed historic pins as well as the turnstile, scale house, and catwalk. Plans bring other questions. Where are the rodeo contestants gonna take their trailers for the rodeo? We have voiced concerns about neon installations on
Thank you,
highly
Melissa.
visible
Sorry, your
streets.
time is concluded. Thank you.
I have one paragraph.
I'm sorry, I can't allow you to do that unless Councilmember Flores has a question for you.
Melissa, thank you for appearing before us. And I want to also thank, the North Fort Worth, Historical Society for meeting with, and then council, heading it and announcing that it would be here. There were a lot of questions even then, and there are questions now for phase 2, and those will be fleshed out as it comes through. Our valued partners, Heritage and the Hickman family have committed, and I think they continue to recommit to historic preservation because that's what makes the core of the Stockyards. Specific to the cattle pens, those cattle pens reside, I think, in totality in the historic district. Other features like the scale house, the turnstile that we talked about when we met, those are, I've already talked to our historic preservation folks here on the side of the city. Going forward, when these plans start coming together, they'll work with, the Heritage Group and their developers to make sure that all this is taken into account. But I just want to say, even though you didn't finish your paragraph, I read you and I've heard loud and clear what it is that you want us to pay attention to. And I'm glad you do support it. And just as a note, as I mentioned to you, the visitor center, we're looking at relocating that into some available space, possibly there at the Coliseum ticket building. So it'll have a better home if we can make that work. But thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Adrian Smith. Adrian will be followed by Pam Minnick. Adrian, if we could stick on topic. Your poster is not on topic. So if you want to stick, no, we're not going to do that. He can have it back. That's fine. That's great. Go ahead. Anything about the Stockyards specifically?
And before I begin my time, I want to say thank you to the city marshals for all that you do to maintain order in this place. Mayor, when I come to this podium,
Germaine to the topic.
I understand.
I don't want you to go home,
my position.
but we'll go home.
I'm going home regardless.
Okay.
So as it relates
Great.
to this, the historic Stockyards, we know that you all are going to vote this particular agenda item through. To the investors, kudos. But my question is, how much is it going to cost? I'm talking to you, Mayor, since you're the chair. How much is it going to cost the taxpayers once it's all said and done?
Not going to answer from the dais. We've got lots of speakers to go
Because
through, Adrian.
you know that these high dollar items typically become a burden on people who make services possible in a particular city. So you think about the historic South Side.
Stockyards.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna get to that point. I know number 5 is getting tired of me, but so we have the historic Stockyards, we have Gateway Park, we have the West 7th Entertainment District. When I think about these 3 entities, this is all I think about: investments, development, growth, and opportunities. Then we flip over to the opposite side. We have the historic South Side, we have the Southeast Quarter, and then we have Far West Fort Worth. When I think about these particular areas, I have disinvestment, city you all's pet projects. But we can't find money for anything else or anyone else.
Are your remarks concluded?
No. I have
Okay,
52,
keep going.
49.
Oh, good. That's great.
48.
Point of order.
47.
Sustained. We're done. We're going to move on. We're on a consent agenda. Do you have any items pertaining to the Stockyards item? You had 40 seconds left. Okay, go for it.
So again,
1,
the Stockyards,
2.
as it relates to the Stockyards, to the investors, could you all think about the people who are continuing to go without necessary investment, growth, and development? Because there are individuals in this city who need opportunities to better their lives. So you all will be off next month. So just
Adrian,
take time.
time's expired.
Relax.
Yeah, thank you.
Reset.
Our next speaker is Pam Minnick, followed by Tim Love. Now, this is a woman you should listen to, if you'd like to. Okay.
Don't leave, Adrian, because we will have opportunities with jobs in the Stockyards. I'm Pam Minnick from the Fort Worth Stockyards, and 10 years ago, I stood before the City Council and I made a promise that the Hickman family and the Majestic developers would do a project that would make this city proud. Gina, you're the last man standing. You're the only one that was here in that City Council. However, Mayor Price was there, Maddie was there, Carlos figured well, and Michael, and some of the form-based code that was put in place to make this development what it has become. And I am proud of what it has become, and I can honestly say promise fulfilled, and I hope that you all feel the same way, because it was a very careful restoration. Mayor Price at the time said that abandonment is not preservation, and these buildings would have been crumbled down had they not been restored. And yes, there were some skeptics. Some of the business owners were afraid that their business would be affected, and I can say they were right. Business has never been better, not only in the Stockyards, but throughout our city. And this city, Fort Worth, is the envy of the entire nation. And that is because of the leadership then and the leadership now. So a lot of you are saying, just like Adrian says, what's in it for me? Well, what's in it for me, particularly in this Phase 2 development, in addition to the success that it's brought, additional success that it's brought to Billy Bob's, is that for the last nearly 2 decades, I've served as president of Friends of the Fort Worth Herd, and that's the support group that provides the horses and tack and some of the other items for the Fort Worth Herd. Many of you have seen the accommodations that we have for the herd existing now, and in this Phase 2 development, there is a plan for the Fort Worth Herd, and that takes that into the future, and that's what's in it for me. So I want to applaud each of you, not only for what you do on a daily basis for our city, but especially for your forward thinking, for your vision, for the Stockyards, for this Phase 2, and to continue to see that we support our Western heritage in Fort Worth, that people get a chance to see what we have and to see where we came from and where we're going. I know Gina and I have had many conversations about her dad and her love for the Fort Worth Stockyards, and I think we all have our special memories, and let's make those memories of the Fort Worth Stockyards continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Our next speaker is Tim Love, followed by Mayor Mike Moncrief.
What's up, council? Mayor?
Hi.
How are we doing today?
Great.
I have to say, y'all have amazing amount of patience. I've witnessed every bit of it today, so thank you for that, and thank you for the opportunity to let me speak. It's pretty easy for me to speak about the Stockyards. I've been in business there for 24 years as of last week, and I've seen many things happen in the Stockyards. Good, bad, and indifferent, but as we all know, and we don't have to repeat very much, the last 5 years in particular have been really spectacular down in the north side. I've seen amazing growth in my business, amazing growth in everybody else's business, and a site that people are jealous of all over the country. And as you all know, I travel a lot. I speak to a lot of people in different places, and when you see headlines that say Fort Worth is the new Austin, and everybody talks about how cool Austin is, well, we know we're cool now, and it's because of the development we have in the Stockyards. And Phase 2 is very important to me, my team. I employ 600 people in Fort Worth, Texas, and we intend to employ 600 more thanks to Phase 2. And not only that, we've seen some amazing brands come to the Stockyards, and they come because of the group that we put together in the Stockyards is a diverse, outgoing, friendly, welcoming city within the city, frankly. And to Heritage and the group that's put all that together, I'm forever thankful, and the city should be too. I work very hard. My team works very hard, and we work together in the Stockyards to make these great things happen. And when you see something like Phase 2 come about, it's going to create an amazing amount of parking. And not a big parking garage, it's going to be an ugly eyesore. It's going to be something that fits in the historical district where you don't have to see a parking garage. We're going to bury the parking so it still has that same feel when you walk around the streets and the wandering streets and the cool little shops and the experimental things you're going to see in the Stockyards in Phase 2 is going to match what history already provided for us. I hope that everybody on the council can see what the investment is going to be and how it continues forward. I think as Pam alluded to, she made a promise 10 years ago, and I promise you today myself, we get this Phase 2 going, not only is the Stockyards going to benefit and the city going to benefit, but it's going to be paid back in spades. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Our next speaker is Mike Moncrief, followed by Mayor Betsy Price.
Mayor and council, I'm delighted to be here.
today. It's been a while since I've been in these chambers. Look forward to your new digs and seeing what that's all about. I know y'all are excited too. But today, I want to remind you of a journey that began a while back. 11 years ago, in the twilight of his life, Holt Hickman, on behalf of himself, Joe, Brenda, Brad, and the citizens of Fort Worth, stood before the city council right here in this room. And he said that Ed Roski and Craig Cavalier were the right partners for all of us. We know today that Holt was right. The search for the right partners was every bit as successful as he told us it would be. And I have no doubt he's here, smiling down. Well, while we support another step forward with Ed and Craig, we do so standing on the shoulders of Holt and in the company of Brenda and Brad, who continue Holt's civic legacy. With Councilmember Flores, your partner in this effort, along with this entire city council and this great staff. You have a wonderful staff. They work their fanny off every single day to make this a better place. We owe them our gratitude. But you are continuing that partnership that Mayor Price and the council began over 10 years ago. Time passes quickly. And that partnership benefits the entire community. As I wound down my service at City Hall, I reflected and spoke about public-private partnerships right here in Fort Worth and Tarrant County. I realized that these partnerships are the foundation of much of our civic success. These partnerships span the history of the Stockyards and the history of our city. They create jobs, diversify our economy, and bring civic pride. So let today stand as a continuation of Fort Worth's commitment to those public-private partnerships. That's our secret weapon, which is no longer our secret, but it works. And the benefits speak for themselves. God bless you and God bless our city. Good
Thank
to be
you,
back.
Mayor. Thank you. Our next speaker is Mayor Betsy Price, followed by Ethan Wayne.
Howdy.
Howdy.
You knew I was going to say that, Maddie.
I did.
It's so nice to see you all, and I'll have to tell you, it's pretty fun being on this side of the table. You know, this is the 10th year of our 380 agreement and our partnership with the Majestic Heritage Group. David Cook will remember this as well as anyone because it was David's first meeting. We started at 7 and adjourned at 1 a.m. A marathon meeting because many in this community were not sure that they wanted the Stockyards touched. Although for us, people were really worried, but we knew it was the right thing because we could not let the Stockyards be demolition by neglect. And that's where we were headed. I grew up in the Stockyards. My grandparents sold cattle there. As a little kid, I remember sitting on my grandfather's lap, and I remember going back and riding horseback at the North Side Rodeo. It's an incredible place, and this partnership has done wonderful things. You won't see demolition by neglect as a result of that first 380. You see major success and major jobs that have been created. A great tourist attraction, a destination for everyone. In fact, 9 million visitors went through the Stockyards last year alone. It's a point of pride worldwide that Fort Worth flexes. Most importantly, it's brought so many jobs and so much development. Carlos, you were there from the moment that Salas appointed you to the committee. Thank you. Thank you all for taking this next leap. Thank you to our partners, the Hickman, Majestic Group, waited a long time. We put tight controls on them with form-based code, and they had to wait 3 years to start their project after it was approved because it took so long to get through form-based code. But look where they are now. 5 years after they started Hotel Drover, and the development at Mule Alley. Look at what it's become. They took over management of the Coliseum. And what do we have there now but something every night, and people really live up to it. The next few years will be an incredible jump in where the Stockyards go. We're well aware, and you as council member and mayors are well aware, that the historic significance must stay. I don't think they need to worry. I think we're in great hands. I want to thank you all for putting your trust in this group and in the city to move this project. We took a giant leap of faith with our partners. Now it's your turn as the new council to take that giant leap of faith on the next great journey for the North Side. Thank you for your service. It's not easy. And thank you to city staff led by David for all that you've done. I look forward to working with you. Thanks.
Thank you, Betsy. Our next speaker is Ethan Wayne. Ethan, I do hope you'll introduce yourself to those that may not know.
Sure,
Okay.
Mayor. Of course I will. Mayor, City Council, my name is Ethan Wayne, and I manage John Wayne Enterprises and the John Wayne Cancer Foundation. A few years ago, we were traveling a small John Wayne exhibit around the country looking for a permanent home. It's called John Wayne, An American Experience. We looked in Orange County, California. We looked in Hollywood, Las Vegas, Branson, Nashville, etc., looking for a family-friendly, multi-generational location with a broad demographic. Also, and maybe most important, a location that shared and embodied the same value set and character traits that my father portrayed in his life and on screen. In other words, our uniquely American values and character. And it was about that time that Patrick Gotch from the Cowboy Channel pulled me aside and said, I want to introduce you to somebody named Craig Cavalier. He has a vision for the Fort Worth Stockyards, and I think it may be the perfect place for you to bring John Wayne. So we flew down, met with Craig. He showed us his vision for the Stockyards, and with that vision and his energy, we felt this would be the right place to bring our father and his story. We're so grateful that you, council, supported that initial vision for the Stockyards, because now we have a place to share John Wayne with the world. And I would respectfully ask that you consider to support the good work and vision of Mr. Cavalier, Kayla, the Hickman family, and others to preserve not only the history and heritage of the Stockyards itself, but of our own Western culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Councilmember Flores, that is the conclusion of our speakers. I'll turn the dais over to you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks everybody that's come to speak on this. Really appreciate you being here, because it demonstrates how important, what is being proposed is to Fort Worth. I want to say this, Pam and Mayor Mike, they spoke about commitments and partnerships. Those two really distinguish Fort Worth and how we do things here and to what level of success we're able to do it. In supporting Phase 2 are valued partners, and this city are recommitting themselves to ensuring that our history is interwoven with our bright future. Mayor Betsy mentioned also that Phase 1 validated that vision from 10 years ago, and there were plenty of questions there, a lot of consternation, but we plowed through it, and that vision was validated and proven. And it also went to prove, most importantly, that historic preservation and redevelopment can occur, not just coexist, but can occur together and live together to maximum benefit. And that's what Melissa, I think, that's where her heart of hearts are, right? Preserving that history, because without that history, what do we have in the Stockyards? So I think it's in everybody's interest here, no one would disagree, that we have to continue to do that because the job's not over. So I'm looking very forward to that. And, also from the economic side of things, Tim, you mentioned how important it is to the economy, the local economy. You employ a lot of folks, and there are more coming. We have U.S. Energy coming into the Stockyards too, on a separate vein, and that's going to bring 60 jobs. So it's all building up, and this is a very good thing for Fort Worth. So the city will benefit, through that increased tax, revenue. The public-private partnerships will ensure that our future is sound economically, right? The Coliseum will benefit from this. The Fort Worth Herd will benefit from this. And again, that economic impact. So keep in mind that there's more to the Stockyards than just, what you may read about in the paper. There's a lot of substantive things that are happening, a lot of things that we can be very proud of. And me as a council member, where the Stockyards is located, I'm very proud to be in this position to see this through. It's once in a lifetime, and the best is yet to come. So, with that, I'm ready to approve.
Got a motion and a second on the floor. Mayor Pro Tem Bivens.
I have to share, Pam, you took away, I was going to go there about our talks, because I know the last time we talked about this, people may have been confused about my support. But I didn't know Mr. Wayne, but last weekend I watched My Darling Clementine. This week I'll be watching True Grit. For those, it's already planned. But I am a child of the packing house. And I can tell you, Fort Worth has always been a land of opportunity. We're but a job at Armor Packing House could a man who moved to Fort Worth with 73 cents in his pocket get employment and pay cash for his daughter's education. The other day, my mom was looking at my jewelry box, and she saw something I had hidden. I didn't want her to know I had it. But I have my dad's Armor safety pin. And I stole it from her. And it's going to be a lapel pin or whatever. And she let me keep it. But I also have my uncle's belt buckle from Swift. That land is who Fort Worth is. And so I took Mom a couple of months ago to show her what was happening, because she'd get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. We had one car, drive Dad to work, then come back home. And she couldn't believe all that had been taking place. And so this is very special to me. I will always remember Holt rolling up on me in that wheelchair. And he paused there until we had our eye contact and he knew my support was there. I remember the lunches we had at the Omni. There's so much to be had from this historic vote. And in closing, I will tell you, Alan recently brought the president of Kosovo here. And so he pulled me in on that visit because he couldn't think of anywhere to take her. I took her to Bell Helicopter because I figure, okay, you ought to want to know about defense. And she had a grand time there. But then she went to the Stockyards. I think she forgot she was on official duty. She was taking selfies and she really just threw the whole schedule to hell because she had such a ball at the Stockyards. And these are just random thoughts, but I can have random thoughts because I've been here longer than anybody. And I'm old, so I get a chance to say what I want to say. But Betsy and Mike, I'll tell you this. You all talk about being out there watching us. These new people are very different. And when I visit around the country and they talk about the lack of civility, I said, well, I'm now a member of a council where these new people heckle back. And so they just don't sit here and take it. And I enjoy every minute of it. I really, really do. Mayor, I know Eric Johnson wants some boots. What I have told people is charge him more. Charge him more. I think they get theirs from Waco. And so, he asked me about my boots. I didn't tell him much. I just thought I'd get back with you. But since you've had a conversation, just make sure he pays. Okay. No problem. So those are just thoughts that I have just from being a child of the packing houses. And I'm just so glad that I'm able to drive that area and remember my childhood, because in so many cities, whoever or wherever you're from, it's gone, but not us in Fort Worth. And that's what makes my city unique. And thank you for all you do and continue to do. And Mike and Betsy, I know you wish you were back here. Just real weird these days. Thank you. Those are my rambling thoughts. And of course, I support this.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. In closing, I think I'll speak to who's not here, and that is a room full and people outside of opposition, because every other vote we've taken to get to this point has been incredibly contentious, all with T-shirts and other posters and Facebook pages. And I really just think it's a testament, not just this dais, the history of the council before us, and Mayor Price and Mayor Moncrief, but all those of you that took the time to come today, because it was not easy to get to this place. And I think you're just getting started. It's quite exciting, and I think a private-public partnership, to Mayor Mike's point, is something we should all be very proud of. So I just want to thank this council for partnering with Councilmember Flores to get to this place, because I know it's not been easy, and a tremendous amount of your time is taken up. And I'd be also remiss if I didn't thank Robert Stearns and Michael Hennig and his entire team, because this was a very complicated deal to get to. And we appreciate you. You've been with this entire project for the entire duration, Robert. So congratulations as well. I know you're excited to see it come to life. With that, council, I think we have a motion and a second, and we can vote. Motion carries.
Mayor, that concludes all of the action items.
Thank you. I may ask Mayor Mike and Mayor Betsy just held on before we close the meeting. Today, we close the meeting in honor of a very special man who once nicknamed the mayor of Stop 6 and one of the most significant figures in the history of Fort Worth, Coach Robert Hughes, who passed away on June 11th, aged 96. Coach Hughes' impact extended far beyond the court, shaping countless lives as a coach, mentor, father figure, and pillar of this community. The greatest testament to his character is the lasting influence he has on those he mentored, advocated for, and motivated throughout his lifetime. As the winningest coach in high school basketball history, Coach Hughes not only leaves behind an incredible legacy in the sport of basketball and at Dunbar High, but across the entire Fort Worth community. Coach Hughes is survived by his daughters, Reverend Carly Hughes, Robin Lee Hughes, and son Robert Hughes. My prayers and all of our prayers are with his family, his loved ones, and all those who were touched by his light as they remember and celebrate his life. And with that, meeting is adjourned.